At the end of every term, it's our school's normal tradition to have an assembly for the primary and also for the high school. Our term assemblies are celebrations of the great things that have happened during the term, and we recognise student achievement across all areas of school life. These include academic studies, sport, community service and leadership, extracurricular activities such as the Duke of Edinburgh Awards Scheme, and also lots of items from the performing arts. All of these things regularly feature in our assemblies. These are a time to celebrate our students' school lives and what it means to be part of a Christian school. This term though, there are no term assemblies in the hall. And so while you're at home, we'd like to take the opportunity to run a virtual assembly as part of this week's newsletter. In our assembly newsletter, you'll find videos including Easter reflections and greetings from primary teachers, messages to the high school students from the Student Leadership Council, a song from Mr Roby and Miss Eunice, plus a Bible reading from Luke chapters 23 and 24. Luke 23 and 24 describe Jesus' trial, his death on the cross, and his resurrection. This week has been an additionally poignant time for Christians as we reflect on the impacts of the coronavirus pandemic around the world, and that will continue across this weekend. Luke 23 traces Jesus' experiences on Good Friday. He was deserted by everyone, even his closest friends. He suffered injustice, and he suffered pain to the point of death on a cross. It would seem that Jesus' ministry had all come terribly undone. Death on a cross did not match the plans that the disciples had assumed he had. They imagined Jesus would be a mighty king, a kingdom on the earth in Israel. But their plans came to a sudden stop. If Jesus had been an ordinary man, Luke's account of Jesus' life would have ended at chapter 23, but it doesn't. The gospel, the good news, is a message of hope, because chapter 24 tells us of Jesus' resurrection, his return to life. It also tells us, while it looked like all the plans that had been made by the disciples were completely dashed, God's plans remained true. In chapter 24, verse 7, the followers of Jesus were reminded of what he had said a long time earlier. Remember how he told you while he was still with you in Galilee. He must be delivered into the hands of sinful men, be crucified, and on the third day be raised again. And again, later in the chapter, in verse 27, the followers could see what happened to Jesus was actually foretold by the prophets hundreds of years before. The Easter account of Jesus' death and resurrection is a message of hope. It tells us that God's plans and promises are firm, no matter what is happening around us. In the book of Romans, in chapter 8, it tells that those who place their trust in Jesus, there is nothing in the world that would be able to separate them from the love of God that is found in Christ Jesus the Lord. So please listen to the Bible reading of Luke chapter 23 and 24, or maybe read along. Know that the Easter account of Jesus is a message of hope. Please know also that our staff have been working very hard and they miss being with their students in person. We're making every effort to support our school community members at a time which is challenging for everybody. These holidays, can I encourage you to continue to care for each other and the wider community? Please stay home this weekend. Consider while you're at home what you can do which will help in this time. Establish and maintain home routines that bring structure to the day. Plan for activities you can do around the house. This is indeed a time for creativity. Exercise as regularly as you can. Stay connected with others online. And look for the simple things that can bring you joy. I hope this week's newsletter brings you joy. Take care.